Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Pub Chat live show. How's everyone doing? You okay, everyone? How you doing, Mega Geek?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Swappers, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I hope you're doing much better after last week.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Oh no.
Oh yeah, I'm on the mate. I recovered, mate. I recovered. I'm doing fine. I'm
Good
living the dream again. But no, I mean, here we are. So back for another Pub Chat live show tonight, everybody. What we're going to be talking about is movies we love, the classics. You know, we're not going to talk about future rubbish. We're going to talk about good stuff, good quality stuff. You know, that's right. Yeah, whoever said that. So starting it off, and I'll start with you, Ian.
Swappers. We have an argument. Swappers having an argument.
I've got some sound bleed through going on. Bear with me. Carry on.
Just
you're live to the world, everybody.
mute your mic. Mute your mic. Just mute it, and then yeah, there you go. Hello.
So what we were saying is it
sounds like a neighbour.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds like a next door neighbour.
Yeah.
Can you still hear it?
Years.
Yeah.
Still hear it. Yeah.
Just
that's really strange. Yeah, I did, but it's not working. That's really strange.
In fact, I'm going to invite them on the panel in a minute. There we go. So right. To start with tonight, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but it was 40 years since Timothy Dalton was announced as Bond. So I thought we'd talk about Living Daylights and License to Kill for a bit, because, you know, I'm on record before. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I adore the Dalton movies. I know they got a lot of stick, but I actually think he was ahead of his time with the way he was taking Bond back to being gritty and toning down the humor. And, you know, I watched the Everything or Nothing documentary again in the week, the Bond one, and I like what he's saying about that he went back to the books and he just wanted, you know, he said this is the most meanest, nastiest, dirtiest hero that you're ever likely to meet. You know, he sleeps with women, he kills without conscience. You know, that's what he wanted to kind of get back to. And he did kind of bring that back, but again, it was just the wrong time. I think people, what do you reckon? People were more just used to Roger Moore's portrayal of Bond at that point.
I don't know.
Contrast.
No, I think the first one, Living Daylights, he was saying all that stuff, and they kind of found the middle. So it had Roger Moore humor in it, and then it was kind of like what Dalton wanted. So it wasn't as severe as a License to Kill, because License to Kill was very much an 80s movie. With the violence of, say, Lethal Weapon films. That was all the going at that moment in time. And even had Michael Kamen did the music for the second one, who's the same guy did the music for Lethal Weapon. So they were going down that route. But Living Daylights is a pretty good movie as far as I'm concerned. I think it hit the balance between kind of Bond from the books and Bond from the movies. So I kind of like that slightly better than License to Kill. You know what I mean? But I know Swappers is Dalton's Swappers' favorite Bond.
Easily. These two Bond movies that Dalton were in. I mean, I might sort of view them differently now as an adult, but when I saw them, like when I was in my early teens, I genuinely loved what they were doing with something, a slightly new approach. It wasn't as campy as Roger Moore, and it wasn't as serious. I don't know if you call Sean Connery's one serious, but Dalton got the mixture perfect. It got the formula absolutely perfect as far as I was concerned. And Dalton he looked so damn good.
He did.
Perfect appearance for Bond. He had a really, really cool intensity. He was really serious, really great thespian actor to put in that role. You believed it when he was being serious. You believed it. I loved when he was showing a little bit of humor as well. It really broke through that seriousness and sort of shone a little bit of a light. And he was like, oh, I really like this guy. You know, he's a really likable Bond. And you didn't kind of think, oh, he's shagging another woman yet again. Oh, God, you roll your eyes. You know, it was like, no, I'm behind this guy. Whatever happens, you know, to him or whatever he does, I'm behind him. I'm rooting for him. I'm in his team on this. You know, he's a really likable guy. You want him to succeed, whereas before he's kind of, you can come across as being a sort of a little bit arrogant and a little bit of everything, a bit of a Mary Sue, I guess, in some ways. But the Dalton one, you really do believe that he was a really tough military guy, but at the same time, he had that brilliant ability to be suave and sophisticated and very elegant as well as a character, not just this brutal military guy. And he nailed everything in that role. I was so gutted when he only did 2, and I thought that it was a really great change-up of the formula from the Connery and Roger Moore movies, and it refreshed the whole thing. And I was like, oh, this is just so good. You know, I've had so many Bond films before, but this feels like a breath of fresh air. And then when they brought in Pierce Brosnan, I was kind of, I don't know about this. And then GoldenEye came out and it was okay, but everything all of Pierce Brosnan's movies felt so formulaic, like it was just a template that they were knocking out every single time. Like all of Tom Cruise's mainstay movies, you know, where he's just like, he's a maverick at doing this or whatever. Then suddenly he loses his mojo, and then he meets a woman, and the woman helps him get his mojo back again. And then he wins at the end. You know, it's like all of Tom Cruise's movies up to a point. I was like, I'm never watching a Tom Cruise movie again. They're all the bloody same. You know, it just pissed me off. And it was the same. It was getting the same with Bond as well, with Pierce Brosnan. But the Dalton movies, man, they were great. And if I'm ever going to go and watch a Bond movie, it's either going to be a select few from Roger Moore's run, when it had some really cool ideas, or the Timothy Dalton ones, because he is such a perfect Bond.
I think all of them are good, apart from Lazenby, because Lazenby even had dubbed his voice when he was at Blofeld's place, so they dubbed his voice over. But Connery, obviously he's the GOAT, definitely. Roger Moore, to me, is the second best as far as I'm concerned, because I grew up with Roger Moore. But there was moments in Roger Moore's films where he was quite like Dalton, just for a tad, though, in Man the Golden Gun and in For Your Eyes Only, even though he was over the hill in For Your Eyes Only, as far as I was concerned. But there was moments where Roger Moore, look. Roger Moore said the best way to play James Bond is to play Roger Moore. And that's what he did.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't want to do Connery. Well, he didn't want to copy Connery,
You're right, mate. Because, on the Everything or Nothing documentary, they talk about that. And they talk about, like you said, the man with the golden gun. And they say, to start with, they kind of wanted him to carry on being like Connery.
Yeah.
But, because when he gets her on the bed and he's going to break her arm, and he says, I'll break it unless you tell me what I need to know. That's very Connery Bond, that is. Yeah. But then he decided, and they agreed with him to go, right, no, let's play it as Roger, Roger's interpretation of it. And it just worked with the humor, I liked Moore, but going back to Dalton, I really liked, like you swappers, I really liked Dalton's portrayal of Bond. I was saying, while you popped out briefly, I think he was ahead of his time with going back to sort of being that gritty Bond. Yeah. And, again, when you look at Living Daylights, you're right. I mean, he only sleeps with one woman in that entire movie.
Yeah, but that was the tone at the time, wasn't it? That was the tone of that, where, it's kind of, you can blame that kind of stuff on Barbara Broccoli. She was influencing her dad to go this way and that, whatever. I mean, personally, I prefer Bond to be the person that he is, which basically sleeps with all the women that he meets, try and get information, obviously kills people because he has to, because he's an assassin, first and foremost. He's handsome, he globetrots. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He has gadgets. That's how I prefer Bond. And to add something in it, where, because the world has gone one place, now they need to include that into a Bond film. I think it's always a mistake, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you know, this is why I'm concerned about Amazon, because they're gonna tone it down, you know,
no, they're gonna destroy it.
And again, when I watch The Living Daylights, it's just good fun.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I enjoy it. I love the whole Afghanistan thing. You know, I love the whistling, you know, key ring that he's got. You know, it's all of that from the 80s, you know. And one little note on it, you know the bad guy at the end, and he's got all his military equipment and weaponry at the end, and he's holding the remote control. That's my Philips VCR remote control from the 80s. I had exactly the same one. I was like, quality, my remote's got into a Bond movie.
But, I do like Dalton though. I think Dalton was a really good. I mean, look, I prefer his look in Living Daylights rather than in License to Kill, because they slicked his hair back in License to Kill, and you could see he was losing his hair anyway. So that didn't do many favors. Didn't do many favors at all, you know. So.
I think I really like License to Kill. I do, and I think Sanchez is a great villain in that movie. And they really do dial up, obviously putting it, what was it, 15 they made it, didn't they? They really do dial it up. But I think I've got a soft spot for Living Daylights. I like all of the car, you know, with the tuning, the heater to get the missile to fire. It's all great stuff, and Dalton plays it brilliantly. So I'm happy.
He looked good there as well, didn't he? He looked good in the beginning when he parachutes down all in black. He looked great, and he looked good in the tux.
He's a man from Little Trey, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked good in anything. He looked good in. He was a built man. He had a great look. I mean, his Welsh came through us slightly in certain scenes, but you know, he was a great looking Bond, wasn't he? He was a terrific guy.
There was some really great action pieces in those movies as well. Some really great set pieces, some sort of really cool hard edge modern action, which I really liked at the time. Like you said, that Lethal Weapon style edge was coming over into it, and it was very welcome, because I was a massive fan of Lethal Weapon at the time.
Yeah. Also, the only bit in a James Bond film, it was from a Dalton film that rivaled Goldfinger. So in Goldfinger, he's strapped to a table and the lasers, you know, going towards him, you know, do you expect me to talk kind of line. And in Dalton's one is when he's hanging off the crusher, isn't it? And that was quite tense. That was quite tense. He was trying to cut the rope, wasn't he? And that was really tense.
Switch the bloody machine off.
You know, that was quite tense. Yeah.
You know, but again, you know, that when you talk about License to Kill, and again, being a young kid, you know, at the time, I was gutted because I couldn't see it. So my mum and dad, we went to watch another movie, and they had the poster up in the lobby of License to Kill, and it was like 15, and I was gutted that I couldn't see it. So I effectively, mum and dad just went and bought the program for me, and I loved it. You know, and I had to look out for that until the VHS came out, and then I could watch it. But
there's loads of things that happened in that film. Like, for instance, I don't know if you've seen the picture where the explosion happens with the tanker, and you can see a skull in the explosion. I don't know if you know. There's very famous still, and also he was very close to the explosion. Timothy Dalton. He was very much in danger, to it that way. Yeah.
But it's like when Roger Moore talks about, you know, The Spy Who Loved Me, and he, you know, he's there at the end, you know, and he kills what's his name shooting through the tube, and they did that explosive effect, didn't they? Yeah, Stromberg. They did that explosive effect, and it like badly burnt his ass, and he made the joke, didn't he, to the director? He goes, I've now got 3 holes where people have got 1.
So, I mean, Dalton was great though. You got to admit, he was a good James Bond. It's a shame he only did 3. And the girls were so hot in these films as well. The 2 girls in the last one, incredibly hot.
I mean, but again, there is that Connery element to Dalton as well, though, especially when you see it in License to Kill when he goes on the boat and he's in her quarters, and he's basically like, and he's holding the knife to her throat, and he's like, he sees Sharky's been killed and is hung up, and he's like, you're gonna have to find yourself a new boyfriend, and he's like on it, isn't he? You know, and it's like this guy looks like he's a savage killer. He really does. But there's wonderful bits, you know, like when you talk about the humor and stuff. I love the plane taking off with the money, and he just lets the door go, and you just see the guy going down with the door.
Also, what a terrific beginning as well when Felix Leiter's getting married, and they used the same guy from
he was my Felix.
And it was terrific beginning with the plane, and you know, was it the helicopter or something like catching the plane and stuff like that. Really, really great, great opening for that one, and it just went dark from that point. Yeah,
it was great transition where they parachute down to the wedding, and then it does the Gladys Knights intro, which is really great. And you're right, it's just dark from that moment on, isn't it? You know, I could see why it was a 15.
But
did he promise you his heart? Give her his heart, and then you hear the scream.
No, I think the thing that gave it a 15 was Anthony Zeeb, or as we say, Anthony Zed, in the film when his head got blown up in the pressure tank thing. I think that's the thing that put it over and made it a 15.
Yeah,
they
you're right.
insisted keeping that in.
Be it.
Yeah, because everything else is you see in James Bond films anyway. You know, but I think it was because of that scene that they so there you go.
Well, I think they also toned down the gadgets as well, didn't they? You know, in Brosnan's sort of era, you know, he had the palm gun in his, you know, that was coded to his palm and fingerprints in License to Kill. Other than that, it was just plastic explosive, wasn't it? Really?
Well,
I think that was.
I didn't like
toothpaste.
Yeah, I didn't
the laser
like
camera.
Q turning up, and I didn't like that. But I thought that was out of place with Q. Yeah. But you know, it was. I thought it was a terrific movie personally, and very violent as well. Sanchez whipping the girl with a dead snake or something that he had in his hand, and it's like, that's not kiddified, is it?
And as you're saying it, it's like, what is it? Your exploits are getting more creative, you know. And she hears the guy she's with screaming because they're cutting his heart out in it, outside. You know, it's brutal stuff. It really is. It's I mean, do you think we'll ever get back to that? Do you think that'll ever come back, mate? That kind of enjoyment for a Bond movie?
I think, you know what I think, and everybody's listening here, I think what Amazon's going to do, they're going to cast someone that doesn't look like Bond, that's someone that doesn't express the looks of Bond. Because if you look at all the people that play Bond, they got a certain look, haven't they? They got a square jaw, they got dark hair, you know, they're handsome, you know, they're a bit built as well. But I reckon what they're going to do is they're going to cast like someone that's quite young to play Bond. And I think it's going to be the wrong thing to do. That's what I think.
I really hope they don't go down the whole like they're doing with the games, where it's kind of like he isn't 00 yet. He's earning the 00 status, because I don't want a Bond movie about earning the 00 status. I want him already to be in his prime as a ruthless killer. Exactly.
We've had it. Yeah.
You know, now I'm going to bring something up here that, you know, and I'm going to reference SenseSphere. You know, if you haven't checked it out, check it out, because they're doing some great Doctor Who stuff on SenseSphere. So go and find it on YouTube. Top drawer stuff. You know, Brendan does some great stuff. But we had a debate last week, because it had the source on there talking about Doctor Who being rebooted, and you know, whether it should be rebooted or whether it should be a continuation. And on there, the source actually mentioned at one point, he said, and I pushed back on this, he said the James Bond was a code name, and all the actors that have played him weren't the same character. Now I pushed straight back on that, because my view was, for Your Eyes Only, you got the pre-credit scene where Roger Moore's Bond is stood over his wife's grave with the flowers.
Yeah.
It's the same character. You've also got Diamonds Are Forever, Connery comes back. The pre-credit scene is him hunting Blofeld down ruthlessly because he's getting revenge for what he's done to his wife. You know, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, that Lazenby's Bond references some of the items that he's got from past Connery stories, and there's the mango tree music playing at the same time. And then also on top of that, you've got License to Kill, where Bond, you know, Felix's wife throws him the thing to, you know, for him to get married, and he goes off, and Felix says, "Oh, he was married before," you know. So
yeah, we know
character.
Of course, it's the same character, but stupid people would say that, oh, it was a code name, because they can't grasp the fact that it's James Bond played by somebody else. It's like, you know, it's so stupid when people say that, right? You can't do that because you'll just destroy the whole idea of James Bond. James Bond is played by an actor. He's the same character. He's sent to kill someone or sent on a mission. He shags girls. He has gadgets. He cracks jokes. We go to different countries. End. That's a James Bond film. And if you divert from that slightly or a lot, it's not a James Bond. It might as well be Bourne. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every spy film that's ever been made, right, does not have what James Bond has. And if they keep moving away from what James Bond is, they'll make a crap James Bond film. I mean, you know, that's what's going to happen with Amazon, because Amazon, right, is very left. Right, no matter, even if they do make Reacher and stuff like that, they're very left, and they're going to try everything in their power to cast someone that doesn't look masculine, looks a bit like a twink, right? They're going to make all the girls tell him off, right? He's not going to shag anyone because that's not right in today's society, which is bollocks, basically. And that's what they're going to do with it. They've hired Willie Nerve, whatever his name is, who has no clue about action. He doesn't know what that's it. He's gonna come in, and he's gonna mess it up, because he said once, oh, films shouldn't have dialogue. What a twat. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna mess it up big time, right?
Yeah.
They should follow the formula, right, and do it to the letter, because that's what people want. The silent majority wants that, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. And you know, again, you know, there's going to be something really disappointing in the new Bond movie, and you're just going to be like, oh, why are they doing this? And I'll just go, right, okay, I'm going back to my 4K Connery set. I'll stick those on, you know. I mean, Bonds, I've started doing them again recently, and they're just an absolute joy. They're just good entertainment. They really are.
It's funny because things always have a bad patch, like anything from music to films. So I remember when everybody hated ABBA, and now ABBA's celebrated as this fantastic, you know, genius pop group. And it's the same thing with Bond as well. When Roger Moore appeared and it became light, everybody was like, oh no, Bond's going to fail, you know, nobody's going to go and see this. But they don't realize how many Bond fans that they're out there. And again, the silent majority is the ones that go and see these films. It's like the reason why nobody talks about Time to Die. No one likes that film because it actually spat in the face of the audience. That's what it did. And if people like that, even Broccoli, she should be slapped personally. I mean, obviously, I'm joking here. I don't think she should be slapped, but
sound like Bond, mate.
But they made a huge mistake. They should never have cast Craig. Craig was good in the first one, and I kind of like Spectre a bit, but everything else, he was the wrong casting. He looks like he doesn't want to play Bond when you watch those films. He really does look like he doesn't want to play it.
Well, they had to convince him, didn't they, to come back for that last one, because he didn't want to at all, I believe, and I think it was from the physical aspect, but they ended up making him a producer on it, didn't they? You know, so obviously a bit more kickback on money, but again, that you're right. That did spit in the face of Bond fans. You know, the whole when I was there at the end, and I thought they've allowed this Bond to be killed off. And again, I don't consider these Bonds as the same continuity as the other Bonds, not at all. But when they allowed that to happen, it was just, I was like, stupid. You're kidding me? And then when you watch the Everything or Nothing documentary, and Barbara Broccoli is basically there saying, you know, for Cubby told them to treat the franchise with respect, you know, and yet you haven't.
Failed.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. The thing about Barbara Broccoli is that she was drinking too much of the Kool-Aid when, you know, people are going, women should be treated with respect, and women should be this, women should be that. That's why you got James Bond holding on to that black girl in the last film, where he's instead of him riding the bike, she's riding the bike. Then she tells him off because she thinks he's going to come on to her. And it's just nonsense. It really is nonsense, right? Yeah. But I do get it, because Craig is not a good looking person. He actually grew into Sid James for some reason. He was he was good looking in the beginning. As he grew as Bond, he turned into Sid James. It's really weird. Really weird. Look,
certainly not literally.
Yeah, but seriously, he was a terrible Bond as far as I'm concerned, right? No humor, and I didn't care about him either. I mean, Casino Royale, I did, because you know the reason
I like that movie.
Yeah, but John, do you know the reason why Casino Royale is good? It's because the old Bond team was dealing with that film. So you had the director, I can't remember the director's name, but he did the last Bond film. You had David Arnold, a fucking great score. You had all the special effects people that was the same, whatever. And then this new director comes in, gets rid of David Arnold, gets the Newton in, and his music is terrible. And it just becomes something else that isn't. Who's the guy who directed American Beauty? I can't remember. He directed Skyfall, and I don't know if you remember, there's this fight in it where James Bond's fighting this guy and it's just a silhouette against neon lights. I'm like, James Bond is not an art piece. James Bond's an action film. We want to see the action, for God's sake. What is this all this shit in this film anyway?
Feelings, feelings. We don't want that.
It's just nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I think I think also with Bond, I just, again, maybe I'm at that age now where I'm not going to get what I loved now. That time is gone. I've just got to accept that these corporations are just gonna
destroy it,
mess them up. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That's what I'm gonna do.
And moving on to something else quickly. You've seen Spider-Man, Brand New Day, haven't you?
I have.
What are your thoughts on it, mate? Let us know your thoughts on it.
Hey,
see you, everyone.
It was,
bye.
Yeah, exactly. It was. Look, I've said this in other live streams. It was okay, but there's loads of problems with that film. Loads, like was it Jean Grey killing people, and how Spider-Man teaming up with a psycho who's murdered loads of people and stuff. They seem to ignore all that. Yeah, and then what about the Accords, which was in Age of Ultron, and what about them? Don't they stop vigilante people now? But Spider-Man's, riding around New York, saving people and stuff. Don't they stop people with superhuman strength, whatever? No, that's all gone. And it just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it was all right, but there's things in it that doesn't make any sense. Like, spoilers, Spider-Man gets taken to hospital because the Punisher accidentally shoots him. And they don't take his mask off when they're operating on him. In fact, I found out I found out a couple of days ago that the reason why they didn't discover his identity is because they cut a scene out of it. Do you remember? I can't remember her name. Dawson, the girl that was in Daredevil, the nurse. Do you remember the nurse that was in Daredevil, the black girl? I can't remember. Rosario Dawson. She was meant to take. That's it. She was meant to take Peter Parker in, because she has affinity with Daredevil. and protect him from people. So she was meant to operate on him and save his life, but also Jean Grey was keeping him alive as well with voodoo power or whatever. And so that scene was cut out. So it doesn't make any sense when you watch the film how the doctors won't take his mask off and discover who he is and blah blah blah. But yeah, it was okay. It's a bit too long in my opinion. It was all right. Zendaya was in it again.
How great!
Most people just got rid of her.
Yeah, but the thing is, I haven't seen it yet, right? But my view on Brand New Day, what I hate about what I loved about the last movie is at the end of it, you see him on his own and you see him in the classic Spider-Man outfit and he jumps off the building and he swings off and you think, oh, finally, we're going to get the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that I've always wanted, you know? And then in this one from the trailers, Ned and Zendaya are back. And I'm like, oh, for crying out loud, you know, can we just get rid of them? And this is where I actually think now Tom Holland and Zendaya have got a joint contract agreement now. So they have to be in each other's movies. That's just a package.
Zambuga.
But it's doing well, isn't it? I mean, it's gone over $1 billion. I saw reference to him, you know, OMB reviews Odin. Check his channel out, and I think Culture Casino put something out as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
They reckon it's going to go over $2 billion.
It's good. It's good, but I also had a report today about Zaslav, whatever his name is, saying that he's going to stick the course with James Gunn. Even though Spider-Man has shown that if you make a good film, people will come. And Superman was absolute rubbish. Superman was absolute bollocks. And they're still sticking to Gunn. That makes no sense whatsoever. So it just goes to prove they're stupid.
We were talking about this last week on the podcast live, and I was sort of saying, you know, we're asking where, you know, is James Gunn in trouble? And I said
he's not,
in my opinion, but in my opinion, it's concerning because my view on it was with DC at the moment, there aren't any titles coming up that excite me. You know, Spider-Man excites me, you know, even Doomsday excites me, but with the DC stuff, it doesn't excite me. I don't go, oh, I really want to see that. You know, that's the problem I've got with DC under James Gunn at the moment. You know,
do you know what would be really good is if, you know, they got all the critics that were on YouTube to sit down with James Gunn and everybody just fires off questions to him. If he believes actually what he's doing, look, in other words, right, the reason why we have discussions and arguments sometimes about certain subjects in the old days is because you wanted to learn. So if I had a discussion with John and he disagreed with me, I want to see his point of view. No, I want to see his point of view so I can learn where he's coming from to find out whether I'm wrong, right? And that's the whole point. But today, right, you got that the people are just so arrogant, especially people in the film business, where they just don't want to listen. They just basically do what they want to do and fuck everybody else. That's what they want to do, right? And obviously because they're left leaning, don't want to stick all the politics in and stuff like that. Spider-Man had a fair share of little woke bits here and there, but that's what they want to do. And for them to be told that, look, we're not going to watch it because you're doing that, they'll just end up blaming us. Oh, you're so racist, you're so misogynist, you're so this, you're so that. That's why my film failed. No, your film failed because it was shit. You know what I mean? People want to go and see it, you know? That's it.
Look, I mean, I'm on record for the 2025 Superman movie. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a Superman movie. And I'll tell you why. There wasn't, and I was going to bring this up tonight because one of the movies I wanted to talk about was the 78 sort of, you know, the Superman 78 Christopher Reeve movie, which I adore. And I'll give you two. Well, firstly, okay, I'm going to give you the Christopher Reeve example, and I've mentioned this before, guys, and it's when he's in Lois Lane's apartment, right? and he's playing Clark Kent. And what he does is she goes off into her bedroom to get ready. And then he decides he's going to tell her that he's Superman. And he instantly, he's hunched himself up, but he stands up tall, so he looks taller, and he takes his glasses off. And instantly you're like, this is brilliant. He really is playing two characters. Whereas in this 2025 one, I didn't see a difference between the two, Clark Kent and Superman. Also, in the 78 Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman, he earns his title as Superman, you know, but there wasn't anything in that 2025 Superman movie where a moment where it made me think that's Superman. And they filled it with too many other characters. Like, you know, the scene where, you know, Guy Gardner and the others are off, Hawkgirl are off saving the families from the tanks that are coming in the desert. That should have been a Superman moment. You know, that's what Superman does. And again, it leads into another problem I've got at the moment. Like I've said it the last few weeks. I think we need to get back, or studios need to get back and go, right, we're going to make superhero movies, but just in their own standalone movie and universe. If things go well down the road, you can do things to integrate them. But I've said it before, Superman 78, I loved it on its own. I didn't need to know that there was a Batman or a Justice League in that universe. I just loved that movie. Batman 89, same thing. I loved Keaton as Batman, and I loved that it was a standalone universe that was wonderful. The trouble that they've got at the moment is they're trying to interconnect everything, and they keep cramming movies with all of these characters. What do you guys think?
The trouble, look, you've missed it all. The trouble with the last Superman film that Gunn made was it was woke. Now, you may not have seen it, but I did, because I am a bit of an expert on woke. So
you got a degree, mate. You got a degree.
I got a degree. So the reason why. So let me put you through it. Okay. So 78 Superman, he's stoic. He goes to visit Lois, and he's totally in command. You know, sorry, I embarrassed you. This is you know, all that stuff. When he's Superman, he saves the helicopter, and he's totally in control. Okay, compare that to James Gunn's version, who is completely left. James Gunn, one of the things in woke law is that men can't be masculine. They can't tell a woman what to do. So did you see that interview that Lois Lane had with Clark Kent? He was not in control, right? No. And to add stupidness and stupidity on that scene as well through the writing, that Clark Kent, as a veteran reporter, news reporter, didn't know if he went to another country as Superman that the other, the governments would have a problem with that. To add stupidity onto that sequence, I just was so angry, and he was arguing like a 13-year-old. So from the very start of the movie, they actually kick in Superman in the nuts all the time. The first scene you see him, he's got blood in his mouth and he's on the snow. He has to be saved by a bloody dog. Second scene, he's trying to do that monster, whatever, and he's trying to save it, and they kill it. The third scene is that he gets taken by the authority. What do they do? Instead of just handcuffing him or something like that, they actually throw him to the ground, smash his face into the pavement, right?
Yeah.
All the way through the film is saying we do not put up with masculine men all the way across the film. And you cannot tell me that's not in the film. It is.
Yeah.
100%. And that's also why I didn't like the movie. I hated it. Sorry. Good
points. I think also though there are a couple of other things as well. I hate the way that James Gunn's portrayed his parents as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the 78 Superman and his parents, it's done really well. And I really care when his dad suddenly holds his arm and he goes, "Oh no," and he collapses, and then suddenly Clark wonders what's happened.
And what did the mother say? John, what did the mother say? The mother says, about the father. She says, he always cries all the time. Don't worry. Don't mind him. So every step, a male's got to be either a crybaby or demasculated or beaten up or whatever. And I'm telling you, all these things were done deliberately. There's a scene in it, and I'll say this till the cows come home, where the villain grabs Superman's legs, pulls it apart, and kicks him in the balls. That's one of the rules in the woke thing, where the male hero always has to be kicked in the balls. Shang-Chi, Loki, I can go on forever, right? So don't tell me that film is good, because that film is fucking shit, mate. It's totally shit.
Yeah, I think also.
Sorry,
I mean, I don't know how to counter that one, really. What do you think, Swappers?
I don't think
he's absolutely right. You couldn't tell, but I was nodding through all of that. There's one thing I really miss about Superman is it just doesn't seem to be being handled by people that revere the character anymore.
That's right.
I think the last people to get it right were the people that made Superman the animated series and Justice League cartoons, who did it so perfectly, because they had massive respect for the character, for all of the characters, and ever since woke Hollywood, or Hollywood turned into woke town, everything's about ruining characters now. Everything's about demeaning them. Everything's about tearing them down, making them impure and imperfect, and criticizing them and making them lesser. I don't know why this is happening. It's something to do with all major heroes of every single major IP need to be destroyed in some way, and Superman's just another casualty of it. You know, James Bond's doing it, gone through it. Luke Skywalker's gone through it. I mean, there's an endless list, really. Master Chief now from the Halo games is going through it.
Yeah.
Every single major inspirational, aspirational male character that there's ever been in any major franchise has to be systemically destroyed, and they're just going through them like a list. Somewhere, someone in an office somewhere has just got a big red marker, and they're just crossing them out every time another one gets destroyed in a movie or a TV show or a comic book or a game or whatever. You know, they're just, that's that one done. And then they just think, then they just watch the fans all create hell online about it, and then they're sitting there rubbing their hands together going, yes, mission accomplished. I don't know if this is a phase we've got to go through with entertainment and then come out the other side and everything be back to normal again. I don't know. Or whether we're just going to have to create new characters or create a whole new entertainment industry, because this infection has got its tendrils in, and it's been there for like the last 10 years now, and it does not look like it's letting go. So who can tell what the future is going to hold? But Ian's absolutely right about Superman. It's easy just to shout the word woke, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. That, if you want to use a catch-all word that's very easy to use to tar the whole thing, then that's it. It's true. DEI and ESG have just destroyed everything. So it's the people that are in control of that, taking all the major franchises now and just inseminating them with this like tar-like disease. And Stargate was almost there, but luckily I think it dodged the bullet. Yeah, Star Trek suffered from it. Doctor Who suffered from it. And like I always say when this conversation arises in any discussion, is that if you're still pissed off about the way your favorite characters have been treated, or the direction your favorite franchise has taken, stop it. Just stop following it. Stop giving it money. Stop giving your attention to it, because your attention is giving it energy, and that energy is fueling the machine behind it and causing the people to go, oh well, we've got eyes on it, so therefore we're going to make more, whether it's good or not. So they're going to keep churning it out. So just turn away from it. Make your own. Make your own stuff. So many people out there are making that own, and it's way, 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 way better. Right? There was a trailer that Ian's done for like a what if, or an alternate Doctor Who offshoot story, whatever. Right? And and it's like, you don't make something like that unless you've got your own vision and your own passion for it. And just from seeing the tiny little bit of information from the tiny little bit of footage I saw from that alone is better than the last 3 seasons of Doctor Who. Altogether, all of those episodes. You know, so just that tiny little bit, and it just goes to show that you can only get good material now from the people that are passionate about it. And the only people that are passionate are the fans, because the people in the industry just want to destroy everything. That's it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Doctor Who, mate, because it kind of segues nicely into it, because it's on a similar subject. And, you know, again, I'm sure if Garbage is in the chat, he'll put the link up for SenseSphere. But SenseSphere did a good debate in the week, so go and check their channel out. It was a good discussion. And it was a discussion about the source. Brendan's got a source who is basically saying that the only way forward with Doctor Who is you've got to do a hard reboot. You know, because you can't fix the existing continuity.
You can.
My view and where I sit with it is you can, and all you need is a clever writer who can just write some lines of dialogue.
Don't even need to be clever.
No, and that's it.
No, look, listen, right? Look, this is the problem, right? I have a contact at the BBC.
I love it when you get like this.
I have a contact at the BBC, and he's telling me loads of different things about Doctor Who. Certain things I can't say in public, but there are certain things I can say, like this. He's saying that BBC's having trouble because they're trying to figure out a way to have their woke or their lefty stuff in Doctor Who and have people watch it. Now that's a big. It's basically like trying to get a. It's basically like trying to get a big square peg and trying to shove it into a circle hole. Do you know what I mean? It's so. So basically, look. The reason why they haven't started doing Doctor Who is because they know that the stuff they put in Doctor Who has failed. Okay, abysmally. Right now they're trying to figure out how could they sneakily do it. How can they keep that rhetoric in Doctor Who and not push away the audience? It's not about trying to find someone a co-production, because they could pick anyone, right? They can even go back to the Wales company, whether they're Bad Wolf. They can go back to them if they want, right? But the problem is how to get the silent majority to accept the crappy woke in Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're struggling with. Now, that's not going to happen. Now, one of the ideas is let's reboot it. But if you reboot it, you're insulting and you're what's happened in the past, from Hartnell straight to Picoldi. You're literally saying we're going to throw all that away now, which the silent majority, which is the normies and people like us, love. We want that continuity to stay. All we want is for the Jodie era and the Shooty era to be annihilated from that history. That's what we want. And that's the problem they have with Doctor Who. They do not want to do that. Because if they do it, that's them admitting that the crappy woke inside or the lefty stuff failed. And they won't do it. And that is the problem they got. That's the reason why Doctor Who's not moving forward.
You're absolutely right.
Same with Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You know that they're sat in an executive suite and they're basically going, right, well, how do we make this work? What's gone wrong before? And everyone in that room knows what caused the destruction of Doctor Who, but they will try and ignore it because they, like you said, they don't want to get rid of it. My argument was with people saying, oh, you know, it's got to be a full reboot, is if you think that there's been some rules and continuity and they've still destroyed it as they have, what do you think they're going to do if they do a full reboot? They're going to go back to classic stories. They're going to recreate those classic stories with their woke canvas on top of it. That's what they'll do. I had someone in the chat the other day during this debate and they were going, well, Star Trek did a reboot. And I said, yeah. And they're now about to do another reboot because the reboot failed. Do another reboot, you know. So and I said it is because it's not in the correct continuity in the timeline of Star Trek. It's separate thing, Kurtzman Trek. And again, it's an example of why it failed. They changed all of it. They did all of the woke cobblers. Nobody bought into it. I keep saying, I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it. I think Doctor Who needs to be away for 5 to 10 years because until this era goes, there's no point talking about reboots or continuations because regardless what they choose, they're going to keep filling it with the woke nonsense. That's the trouble.
Look, that's not it. What they should do is hire me as the showrunner and leave me alone. I have final say in the edit. I have final say in every story. They can all fuck off. Just leave me alone, and I'll give you Doctor Who that will get 20 million watching. It's not hard. All you need to do is do Doctor Who, not the crap that they've been giving us. That's all you need to. It's not rocket science.
Even if they did a non-woke reboot of every single major franchise out there, right?
Yeah.
Or at least they marketed it as that, we'd probably get about 3, 4, maybe even 5 really great episodes with no DEI in them whatsoever, aimed purely at hardcore fans with really great writing. Not even great writing, just good, competent writing that people would lap up just because there's no wokeness in it. And it respects the characters, it respects the continuity of the makers of it originally, like George Lucas, etc., Jim Roddenberry. It respects their vision. So you get a handful of episodes, and then suddenly the rug will be pulled out, and then suddenly it'll be slammed with DEI. And when they've got that audience back in watching captively, then suddenly they'll just degrade it all back into wokeness again, and then the rest of the season will be nothing but woke, and then it'll diminish in viewers, etc., etc. So they'll just use non-woke to get people back in, and then they'll just kill it again by shoving it back in there as soon as they know they've got the audience back, and they'll just then it'll be like a wolf, a boy that cried wolf situation. Where it's like, no, guys, it's good this time. Honestly, it really is. And then just no one cares anymore. It's like Star Wars now. It's got such an apathy problem. Look at the performance of Mandalorian and Grogu. No one watched that film, really, in comparison to Star Wars as it really should be. No one by comparison, relatively. And they've killed it. They've basically poisoned the well. So people just look at it now and think, I don't care anymore. They just see the Star Wars logo and they don't have any passion in them left anymore. They've failed to capture the younger generations, like George Lucas. Even though the prequels were really great, they capture the young generation still. There's loads of people that are out there now as adults that loved them as kids. So George Lucas, in all his failings, still managed that, and he kept the franchise going because of it. We had Clone Wars, and it kept going with really great momentum. And then Disney comes along, kind of carries it on, and then drops the ball massively. And then they're wondering why they can't keep it up anymore, and why they've ruined it, and why no one cares anymore. It's because they've forced all their crap into it. So you're going to have to. There's only one way for a popular IP to survive and exist into the future, is if you gatekeep all of that crap out of it. It comes down to one question. The bottom line is, do you want to make money or not? That's it. That's all there is.
The BBC, they're not concerned about making money. What they are concerned about is keeping their crap in. And also, because people pay for the BBC, that's what they're engaging in. But do you know the BBC can have its cake and eat it? I believe in having, DEI. I kind of believe in it. I believe that there should be more people of color in TV shows and stuff like that, in special different regions. I believe in all that stuff, but they're not doing it right. What they're doing is divide and conquer. That's their motto. They want to put a black guy in it, and then that black guy will take over the white guy and all that rubbish. It's pure racism. That's what it is. That's what they're doing. But if you do it right, okay, and treat it with respect, it's achievable. Do you know, if you look at Only Fools and Horses, right? They had Denzel. Okay, we know the two stars of Rodney and Dell, right? But they had Denzel in there. They had old people in there. They had strong women in there. When he eventually got married, she was quite strong. They had all those things. Yeah, and it was well balanced as well. And any show going backwards, right, had a pure diversity in there. It had diversity which was natural, right? And they can go back to that and have their cake and eat it. But there's too many blue-head people that are running BBC, and that is the main problem with the BBC. So I don't know whether Doctor Who's going to come back in its full glory. I think if it comes back, it'll still be tainted.
Well, have you seen, guys, there's talk now that Labour and the BBC license fee, that they're now going to actually extend it to, even if you don't want the BBC, you'll have to pay for it to have Netflix and streaming services. And it's their way of, and it's their way of continuing to fund the BBC. Again, my dad worked for the BBC for over 30 years. I loved it. I grew up as a BBC kid. I had Christmas parties in the BBC studios.
Wow.
It was great. I loved it. It was all wonderful stuff. But even I'm saying now that it needs to be defunded and it needs to go to a streaming platform because it's not fit for purpose anymore. It really isn't. I can't remember the last thing I watched on BBC. It's changed. It really has. Look at the comedy. Look at how much comedy we used to get on BBC. It was so good. It really was.
We got nothing now. They don't do sitcoms anymore, as far as I'm concerned. They other channels are doing stupid things like Sky One did Saturday Night Live. Not sure how many people was watching that, but I'll never watch it. It looks like shit. So it really does. Look, the BBC will destroy Doctor Who if they bring it back. If they don't bring it back properly, same thing with Swapper's beloved Star Wars. If they don't, we've got Starfighter coming. That looks. I hate to say it, but Ryan, what's his name? Who's the guy in it?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
I like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
it's just I think I know what I'm going to get from it. Unfortunately, I think we said on a previous show. I've got a feeling that it's going to end up with he's taking a kid to the new Jedi Temple and to meet Rey. I suspect that's going to be the ending of the movie.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yet more babysitting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He looks very effeminate in that, but the pictures I've seen him for some reason. That guy, he couldn't look masculine if he tried. Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. That's why
he's going to be Ghost Rider. He's going to be Ghost Rider.
Well, at least he'll be a skull for a good few times, wouldn't he? rather than
flaming skull.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so tired of our entertainment being infiltrated this way. I really am. I mean, again, the last film I watched, which was 2 weeks ago, Casablanca. That just goes to show how awful the stuff is on TV now. It really is.
It is. I mean, they as nefarious as this is that the BBC are trying to do. I don't subscribe to any streaming services anyway. The only thing I watch is YouTube generally. And I was really annoyed generally when I heard the story because I thought, oh, so they're going to somehow invade YouTube now and force us to watch them via YouTube or something like that anyway. Or they're going to make more ads on YouTube and force more ads into it to pay for the subscription service, etc. I thought, oh, they're going to do it that way, are they? But if it's only subscription services, I don't subscribe to those anyway, so they're still not getting the money out of me. I watch YouTube mainly through Brave browser, so I don't even get ads, which is great. I do when I'm sit and watch it on TV, which is annoying because there's no way of blocking them on that. But the rest of the time, I'm mercifully free, so at least there's that. But if the BBC start trying to push all their stuff on YouTube, so we start seeing their presence more everywhere, like on ads, on banners, YouTube video, BBC videos get forced into our feed when we don't absolutely no interest in them whatsoever. Then I'm just going to block everything they do. Everything with BBC in the title of it gets blocked, so I never ever get to see anything. At least YouTube still have that function. I would be seriously incensed to a degree. My head will go off like a volcano if they somehow override that and stop my block and still manage to get the crap through to me.
I've just got this image of Swapper in his house, like he's like sealing the letterbox up and everything because all of this BBC stuff's coming through the windows and the doors. It's like, get away! No!
Oh, you basically just highlighted a nightmare I had last week. Well done, John.
Sorry, man. I'm just helping you heal. I'm helping you heal.
It's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible that we have to talk about this. It's like I remember when I was a lot younger, when I was in my 20s, 30s. I'd go to the pub and we'd be talking about Babylon 5 or Star Trek or, and we'll have little arguments over a beer and stuff. And, and that'll be that really. But we'd always go back to our TV and watch our favorite shows and enjoy it. And the next time you're at work or, I remember when I was working, I used to work for post-production. I used to do graphics for TV. I remember my boss always used to trick me. He always used to say a job would come in at the last moment and he would go, Ian, can you do this job? And I'd say, no, I'm going home. And he'd go, no, we need this job done. And then he would try and coax me. He would say to me, look, Ian, right, I know you're going to be here at 4:00 in the morning. He goes, there's the number for the cab. When you finish, you can drive straight home. Here's the menu for pizza. Order as much as you want. He go, and we taped X-Files for you. And it's he's like, he taped the X-Files for me. And he goes, you can watch it. You can watch it while you're doing the job. Do you know what I mean?
See, when employers go the little bit of extra mile, they take your interest into account, and they say, it's a trade-off, basically, because they're infringing on your personal time, and they try and kind of meet you halfway. Then I don't think there's a problem there. I think that's pretty good, to be fair, and they're still paying you, so you are more inclined to help them out in that situation, aren't you?
Yeah, as I said, right, I'd watch X-Files and I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm not going, oh, Jesus Christ, they woke this up or anything. I'd watch it, enjoy it, wait for the next episode. That's the point I'm trying to make. And even my bosses used to watch it as well. And, none of them complained about it. Do you know what I mean? It's just today you complain about every show. I was watching, Ted Lasso. I watched season 3 and I still enjoyed it, even though I was slightly woke. And now they got rid of all the boy footballers, and now he's coaching the girls team. I'm like, if this isn't gonna go wrong, what isn't? Do you know what I mean? I refuse to watch that season. I just like, no, I'm not gonna. I know what's gonna happen there. Yeah.
Quick question for everyone in the chat, and you guys as well. Okay, so put it in the comments, but let us know. Bond. Who is the number one Bond? Is it Connery? Is it Lazenby? Is it Moore? Is it Dalton? Is it Craig? Is it Brosnan? You'd let us know in the chat who is the number one Bond. I'm going to jump back to Bond because I was also going to say, guys, I hadn't announced it yet, but on the channel we are doing a Bond in review. So we're going to be starting at Dr. No, and we're going to be working our way through those movies. So looking forward to doing that. It's really great. Going back to Bond as well, guys, I also wanted to say, what's your number one Bond movie? And everyone in the chat, let us know what your favorite Bond movie is.
I know which one mine is.
Which one's that?
I don't know.
I've got two. Well, it's all to do with the actors that are in it. So my favorite Connery one has got to be Goldfinger, because that's the film that actually changed the face of James Bond. And the second runner up is Russia with Love. I love Russia with Love, even though it's slow. It's really good. My Roger Moore one, obviously, is Spy Love Me. Love the Spy Love Me and Live and Let Die. Absolutely fucking great movies. And the third runner up for that is Moonraker. Even though it's stupid, I still love it. I mean, the Lazenby one was good, but I had a problem with Lazenby. He's not a very good actor, so that kind of failed. Timothy Dalton is Living Daylights for me. Pierce Brosnan is Tomorrow Never Dies. I love Tomorrow Never Dies. For that was a great movie. And who else is left? Craig, the first one. That's it.
Casino.
Casino Royale. That's it.
I think for me, I think you're right. It's got to be Goldfinger, Roger Moore. Spy Loves Me. Every time I love the hilarious bit where he comes up on the beach in the car and he just winds the window down and just drops the fish out of it.
Yeah,
it's just, I love it every time. And then I think for Brosnan, it's got to be Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never
for
Dies
me.
is great.
I do love that movie. I think Brosnan is a fantastic Bond. Craig, it's Casino. Dalton, I go License to Kill for Dalton. I really do like him in that movie. And Lazenby's just got his own, isn't he? So there you go. What about you, Swappers?
I always default to Live and Let Die for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was because I saw it at such an early age. And it's got equal parts action, heroism, aspirational suaveness of James Bond himself, and also it's quite scary in a lot of ways. So it's got a really good mix in there. And it got some really great gadgets in it as well. So I always go back to that one. It's always the one I remember most fondly from when I was a kid. And then after that, close second's probably Moonraker. As ridiculous as it is, just the sci-fi element is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I've got a real kind of fond memory, nostalgic memory for when all the merchandise was around for that film as well. With, you know, the space shuttle toys and the helicopters and everything that in the Corgi and Matchbox range were amazing. And it was like there's just this big buzz around the movie I remember seeing. And I didn't see the film until quite a few years later when it was on TV. But yeah, really, really loved it. And I was just that age when you kind of love everything, I suppose, you know. But it was, but by today's standards, such a great film. Even though it's cheesy and a bit jokey and a bit OTT, at least there's absolutely zero wokeness in there. And it's just pure entertainment and really does the character justice.
Yeah. I think watching the I think the Everything or Nothing documentary I've watched again, like I say, this week, and they talk about that, and they said that the first two Bond movies under Roger Moore didn't do particularly well financially, and they wanted to get The Spy Who Loved Me, like they were determined to get that on point. But they said about as soon as that pre-credit scene where he goes off the cliff and you get the you get the parachute with the flag on there, everyone was standing up and applauding, and it's fantastic.
That's because Broccoli and Saltzman broke up, so Broccoli was left holding the Bond franchise together, and he just like went, fuck it, I'm going to put all loads of money into this one. This one's got to work. But I like Live and Let Die, and I tell you, the first time I saw Live and Let Die, it wasn't in the cinema, it was on TV. And I can honestly tell you, swappers, I cried with laughter, that aeroplane bit with the woman, Mrs. I can't remember the woman's name, where he was trying to get rid of villains and he jumps into the plane and he starts driving the plane and stuff.
Same time tomorrow, Mrs. Bell.
Yeah,
Mrs.
I
Bell.
just cried. I was crying with laughter. I just thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It really was. But I was young
then it transitions to he's like getting tailored and he's with Felix Leiter and he's like, "How's Mrs. Bell?" And Felix goes, "Intensive care, but they say she'll pull through."
Yeah, it's very silly. And also, what great special effects when James Bond comes and he starts shooting people in the sacrifice bit, and he shoots the guy in the head, and his head breaks open like what is it? Like a broken egg shell.
And
that was just amazing. That effect was really amazing. But great movie. Live and Let Die, in my opinion, is one of the best Roger Moore films to date. In my opinion, I love all this. Yeah, go on. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, whenever I have a kebab, I feel like I've eaten one of those shark bullets.
I just love the sequence because it just turns into another movie when they have the boat chase. I love the sequence with Pepper. What's his name? Sheriff Pepper. And I love all that stuff. I think as I said, it just came out of nowhere, that scene, didn't it? They introduced that character. He just came out of nowhere. It's like they were making it up as they went along. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie.
It was a good movie, and like you say, that scene where he's done all the speeding and then what is it? He comes in and it goes, make boating a safe way to 5 mile an hour sign, and it's like he's coming in slow, and then they talk to the sheriff and he's like, he's a secret agent from England working with our boys. Secret agent on whose side?
It's the small little jokes that you miss, because like I remember I've watched Live and Let Die a lot. So it's like that bit where the boat smashes into the sheriff's car and the two guys that drive up, and the guy says, is that a boat in the sheriff's car? And the other guy says, "Where have you been, boy? That's just one of those new car boats."
New car boat.
It's one of those new car boats. It's there's little stupid jokes in there. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
They also have that a bit as well, where the sheriff talks about Billy Bob having the fastest boat. He goes, "Here we go, Billy Bob will get him." And they go past, he goes, "This is my cousin." And he goes past, it's a black man, and then they all look at him. There's so many, like you say, good bits.
It's funny because that scene is complete. If you took that scene completely divorced from the rest of the story of Live and Let Die, but it's such a great scene, though. It's the first time you saw James Bond smash into something that's important, like the wedding, isn't it? He drives the boat into their cake, doesn't he? It just keeps going, that kind of stuff. So it's a really good film. A lot of people underestimate Live and Let Die, but Live and Let Die is a terrific movie from start to finish.
That's one thing. That's one thing I really miss, about not just Bond films, but those kinds of films in general, is the fact that you kind of take a ridiculous scenario with a ridiculous character when you compare it to mundane everyday life, and you get ridiculous scenarios with ridiculous humor, because it comes out naturally from when you put the pieces together. So you can have him driving a boat and then suddenly like slides across the ground and goes through a field and into a house and through a cake and then back into like a river on the other side or something. And it's just like, wow, you're just sitting there in your movie seat, just watching it being taken along for the ride. And that's what you pay your movie ticket for, that kind of enjoyment. You're taken on that roller coaster. I really miss that.
It's terrific. And they got rid of the sting in the tail. They used to have sting in the tails in James Bond films, and they just got, I think it stopped at Man with the Gun. So what I mean about sting in the tail, they always have a thing at the ending of James Bond. So the bit at the ending of Live and Let Die was the train sequence where everything seems to be okay and he's gonna make love to Solitaire, and Teehee comes in with it, trying to kill it. And that's how it ends. And I think it might have been Diamonds Are Forever that actually started it. I'm not sure, because Diamonds Are Forever has that scene as well where the two gay guys come in and try to put a bomb in the cake and all that. It was quite funny as well. Yeah. Quite kids. Yeah, it's quite fun. Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint. As I said, right, that is James Bond to me. And it's not, it sounds like, a lot of people laugh at that, but I think the audience now would be more accepting now of those kind of James Bond films than the new stuff where they're trying to be serious. All people want to do is laugh and enjoy themselves. That's all they want to do. And James Bond used to give that in spades to them. Do you know what I mean? But now it's kind of, I'm depressed. I killed a lot of people. I'm depressed. That kind of shit. We don't need that. We need to have fun. Do you know?
Yeah, Jeff from Sons and Shadows here, my friend from the Stargate watch parties. Good to see you, buddy. Well, we're doing the review of Bonds all the way through from the beginning to the end on this channel, so it's going to be an absolute joy going through those. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be an absolute joyride for me because I adore Bond movies. But I think I wanted to say also, just before we carry on, we got 30 people watching us live right now on the show. Thank you everybody for coming in. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and develop. We want to be famous. We want to make lots of money. We want to have our own private islands. We can't do that without your help. So, do it. Hit those likes and subscribe buttons. I
want to get my bowler hat with the steel rim. I need to buy one of them.
I'm gonna get a shoe like Random Task in Austin Powers.
That's right, yeah.
Random Task. What a great name that was.
Oh, it's fantastic, wasn't it? It was great. But I mean, again, we haven't talking about Bonds. Let's talk about the Battle of the Bonds as well. When we had Never Say Never Again and Octopussy out at the same time. Connery and Moore going head to head.
Moore won.
Octopussy won. Yeah.
Well, won big time, because that Never Say Never Again, even though they say it's a James Bond film, which it is, it's not really a James Bond film. They didn't have the theme, didn't have the gun barrel scene in the beginning. Lots of things missing from it. Terrible score. Sean Connery was great though. It's very 80s though when you watch it again. But it is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? And that will never happen again. That kind of film, that will never happen again. So,
I mean, again, Never Say Never Again. It was nice to see Connery back, but it wasn't a good movie. I mean, I still enjoy it in bits, but it just feels off to me. It always does, and the music score, the soundtrack is terrible for it.
They cast that guy to be Bond, didn't they? Who's oh gosh, he was in he's, oh god, I can't remember his name, but they cast this other actor to play Bond, and then when they heard that Sean Connery film was coming out, they literally went back to Roger and they said, look, you've got to come back because Connery, and then Roger was rubbing his hands going, okay, if you want me to come back, this is how much I'm going to cost. And that was that. So, that's why they brought him back. Because Roger was wanted to give up at that moment. But
and I think also, you know, when he came back for Diamonds Are Forever, it's like the studio exec on Everything or Nothing documentary said, right, we need to get Sean back. You know, I'll greenlight 2 movies for him, any of his choice, $1 million a piece, but as long as he comes back and plays Bond again, you know. And again, it was
gave
one
all his
and
money
done.
away, didn't he? Gave all his money away, didn't he? Did
he really?
The money he got paid for Diamonds Are Forever. He gave it to Edinburgh something research or something like that. He gave all his cash that he got for that. But Connery was overweight. He didn't care when he was making Diamonds Are Forever. He really didn't give a shit. You can tell. Still fun though. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I think also, I also remember with Sean Connery talking about how Steven Seagal broke his wrist for Never Say Never Again, because he was the stunt guy, wasn't he? Like for Connery for that movie. But I don't know. It's just I can't put my finger on what it is I don't like about Never Say Never Again. I think it's just the tone of it, the pacing of it. It just feels it feels slow in places. And clunky.
Not very good. Yeah, it's not a very good film. It's had some really good casting in there. Obviously, Fatima Blush, the girl who played Fatima Blush, she was terrific. Edward Fox. Edward Fox was older than Sean Connery in that film. Edward Fox played M, and I can't remember who played Moneypenny, but there's some really good casting. But the film is not a James Bond film. They tried their best, but there you go. But Connery, as I said, I watched it because of Connery. I wanted to see Connery back, as Bond. And, he didn't.
Then of course you've got The Rock as well, haven't you? The movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's just the perfect unofficial Bond you can get, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It was Bond, wasn't it? Without a doubt. Just Mason Storm is Bond.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's a great movie. That is really, really great. The Rock.
The Rock.
I just love that. I love that line. My favorite, my thing that always sticks with me about that film, probably not with any other one else, and I don't know why, but it is. Candyman. I can't remember the actor's name now. Bless him. When Nick Cage's character says to him, "Tell me, you like music?" and he goes, "I don't like no stuff that shit." And I just thought, what a great fucking line, man. That's so great.
Yeah, there he goes. What is it? Rocket Man. He goes, I don't like soft ass.
And he just says, well, you're the Rocket Man. Yeah, and he sort of launches him, doesn't he?
Yeah, very good. And that bit where he has to roll, Connery has to roll through this thing with the fire to get into the and the guy says, "Where'd you get this guy from?" It's James Bond. That's why he can do it. But great stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Rock for me is one of my favorite action movies. I mean, that was a time when Nick Cage was just doing great action movies. I mean, Con Air's on my list as well. It's just I go and watch something. It could be complete shit, but I watch it because Nick Cage is in it. I'm just a fan of Nick Cage. I think he's great. And The Rock was just a high point for me. A great cast. He was a
Beatles
Michael Bay,
wasn't he? He was a Beatles freak, wasn't he? He had This Sounds Better. He holds up the record. But, it's pretty. Yeah, it's the thing. The thing is, in those days, characters used to have a character, didn't they? I mean, he was a freak, and he was a Beatles freak, but he was also a geek as well, wasn't he? It was like knew his stuff about bombs and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good movie as far as I'm concerned. But it's Michael Bay, wasn't it? Michael Bay when he was just starting out.
Michael Bay when he did a good movie,
when he did a good movie. Miraculous, I know.
I don't know about you guys. We're talking about The Rock now. I'm not sure I could inject that into my heart. Could you?
Oh, I could. if I was going to die,
you could inject it into my heart.
I could do it to your heart. If it's a choice between dying and melting, you know what I mean, and living, of course you'd do it. You'd have to do it, wouldn't you? Do it right away as well. You'd have to. But I think it's a great film.
It is a phenomenal film. I again, it's up there as one of my favorite action movies. I did hear the other day there were rumors about Schwarzenegger was talking about doing a sequel to Commando. I don't know if that's a load of rubbish.
No, he's too old.
I mean, yeah, I can't see that happening now. That's long past. Yeah,
he's too old.
I can't see it.
They had a chance to do it, but they didn't. So it's just like Tango and Cash. I wanted a sequel to Tango and Cash, and they didn't do it. So I don't know. There's certain films that they just, it was one and done, wasn't it? Kind of thing. So
yeah.
Or they tried to make a TV show out of it and it doesn't work. Like Starman. Do you remember that one? Did a TV show Starman. John Carpenter Starman. It was awful. In one season it was gone. So yeah. But
I mean,
yeah, go on. So go.
No, I was going to say you're right. Yeah, Starman. Yeah, the series. Again, the movie. I always struggle with the movie as well.
I kind of. Yeah, it's a film of its time. I think it works personally, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, look, the films of the 80s and the 90s. We didn't know we had it so good. Like, you'd go to the cinema and there'll be like 3 really good movies to watch. Today, you'll be hard pressed to see one good movie because they're all shit. Do you know what I mean? Absolute shit. So,
well, we were kind of born into great films being at the cinema, weren't we? So we didn't know any better. So we just thought that's the way the world is. So now we know, we've seen it all fall away. We just think now we've got that perspective of how great things could be, but we're stuck in whatever we have right now.
But also, it was the fact that when you went to see a film, the cinemas were always packed or almost packed, and it was
we had a lot less of other things to do, didn't we, back then? It was, cinema was the biggest thing you could do that week. Really, it was more important than going to the pub. It was more important than playing your Atari VCS or whatever at home. More important than watching a video cassette, something on TV, going out with your mates. It was like the cinema. Everything stops with the cinema. So it was a big sort of treat, wasn't it, to go to the movies? It's like a whole night. It was something you remember for ages.
I think the phones and internet stopped us from appreciating cinema, because when you got a device in your hand and you can watch TV on it, and then movies, it kind of takes away the uniqueness of cinema. So I think that's what contributed. They say pandemic contributed to it, yes, and that's true. But once we got introduced to the internet, people can sail a 7 seas and watch anything, really. Let's face it. So
I can remember when I was at uni, and the second Star Wars prequel came out, or it was about to. It was just the trailer for it got released online, and it was available to watch on QuickTime. You remember that, when you had to download a little QuickTime player, or you had it playing in a browser, and you could only actually watch it in a browser if you had a good enough connection. So that meant going to like some establishment, like I went to uni, because they had a broadband connection there. It wasn't like the fiber optic like we have now, but it was fast, way faster than dial-up, which is the only thing we had at home. So it was the only way you could watch a video without taking 3 hours to download it. But everyone was doing that. They were sort of going online to watch those quick-line movie trailers, and it was either watch those or pay for a film to go and watch trailers for the film you want to watch in the film. Like we did before the Phantom Menace came out. Everyone was like, I don't care about this film, but they're showing the Phantom Menace trailer with it, so I'm going to go and watch it anyway. But nowadays, it's just like you sort of quickly glance at a trailer on your phone and go,
on YouTube.
You've forgotten about it.
But also, this might be beyond your time swappers, but there was before the internet and when
before the dark times.
Before the dark times, when we had Film 78 or Film whatever, Barry Norman, we had on BBC Two that TV show. I can't remember what it's called now. Entertainment USA with Jonathan King.
I remember.
And that's where we used to get the information of movies. I remember Jonathan King showed the trailer for Temple of Doom. And when I saw the trailer for Temple of Doom on his show, I was so psyched. I was like, I've got to see this movie. You know, you couldn't see it anywhere else. You know, we didn't have YouTube. You know, as you say, you could download it, but nobody was au fait with dial-up in those days. But Entertainment USA used to show you things that you'd never see in the UK, only exclusive to America. And that's when we got excited, you know? So it's crazy, right? When you think about it.
I think also with me, you know, being an 80s kid, you know, I just missed the excitement of going into a VHS store, you know, like a rental, and just, you know, summer holidays, you know, mum and dad would take me and my brother and sister in there, and we would literally, you know, or a Saturday morning, and just spend the morning just going round and just looking, taking it off the shelf, choosing what you wanted, the smell of the popcorn on the counter, all of that. It was just the poster, the large posters of characters from movies in there,
the stand-ups,
it was better. I think for me, the trouble I've got now is, and guys, you might be the same on this, but streaming doesn't do the same for me. If I just, you know, I purchase or rent something or watch something on there, I think I'm used to, because I grew up in the 80s, I'm used to when the VHSs started coming, getting the art on the VHS cassette, you know, or if I had a game for my console, the artwork that was on the cassette, you know, all of that. And that's why I sort of collected them going forward. Streaming, you just kind of, is that it?
But when you went to Blockbuster and you wanted a particular film, and you went to the shelf, and that case of Blockbuster, the actual case itself was missing the Blockbuster case behind it, you'd get so disappointed, wouldn't you? Because you know that film's out. You're just like, damn, it's out.
But that was well, we used to have like a tiny little video shop in my town, in Northamptonshire, when I was a kid, and it was like, you know, compared to places like Blockbuster, it was absolutely minuscule. But you'd go in there, and because they'd only have like 2 copies of any film, and you'd see, they'd put like little red tags on the top to say whether a film's already rented out or not. And you'd walk in, and if you'd see a film that you really wanted to see without that tab on it, the adrenaline rush was like, grab it, run to the counter with it quickly, because you get a chance to watch it, you know, before anyone else comes in. And it was kind of almost a lottery. You get down the video shop when they opened, and hope that your movie that you want to see that was released that month or whatever, that week, wasn't already rented out, you know. And when you grabbed it, it was like winning the lottery almost, you know. You grab it, you carry it home, and it felt like it was glowing in your hands, and you couldn't wait to put it in the video player to watch it, but you had to wait until dinner was over, or, you know, your mates to come round. You'd make a night of it. You'd have three mates all sitting watching it, and your parents would be sitting there, and they'd do food and get a takeaway. Man, what an event, you know, just to watch a 2-hour VHS, you know, without all the modern bells and whistles of technology. Just all that is just missing from what we experience today.
It was all new, wasn't it? And it was all great. And it was just a joy, and just happy memories of doing that. You know, I remember going into my local video shop to get with my mum and my brother, and I was terrified because they had a life-size Freddy Krueger cardboard cutout in there. And I was like tiptoeing round it in case, you know, came to life and slashed me to pieces, you know.
Well, the thing is, that's the point of the movie, though, isn't it? That's the point of the movie, is things like that actually coming to life, you know. So it works in that respect. But,
guys, what about this? When you went to Blockbuster or whatever store, and you finally got the film you want to watch, then you're all sitting there with the popcorn, you put the film in, and when you play it, the tracking's off. And no matter how many times you push that fucking tracking, it's all, the bottom's all like that. You're like, what the fuck?
It's like, you were lucky. if it was still a new video and only been out like a couple of weeks, you were pretty safe. But it was when it was one that had been rented out about 300 times, and there's a certain part of the film, Basic Instinct, that was like, worn out, but just a little bit more than the rest of the film, and it would ruin the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, guys, I mean, again, it and you had the terrible scenarios where it would chew the tape up as well.
Oh God. Yeah.
And it's like you heard it before you saw it, didn't you? And it's like, oh bugger.
And also they used to con you, didn't they? They used to say you have to buy this thing that will clean the head. And Blockbuster used to have them as well. These tapes you shove in and it speeds, and then it meant to clean the head, and then you pull it out again. And it's like, never works. It's still got dropout. It's still got the tracking off. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And then you got like, as you got into sort of the late 80s, early 90s, you had like 4-speed and long play for recording and all stuff like that. And you're like, oh, the future is here, everybody. but I mean,
bad, though.
Yeah, it was. And I think
when you put it on,
I think that's lost, because going into a video store wasn't just about picking out your item. It was like a community thing. It was like somewhere you went and you talked to people and you socialized in there, and about, oh, what are you picking up today? You used to talk to the person behind the counter, and they're like, it's like when I go to like my local comic book store now, I'll go in there, and because I'm familiar there, the guy that runs it, who's a friend, he'll literally go, I've got your stuff for you, but he goes, you might like this. And that's what they used to do in the VHS stores. They'd go, oh yeah, okay, you bring that back. Well, why don't you give this one a try? It was
I work for
a great time.
I work at Blockbuster Video for a year when I was in doing a course just to get extra money, and people used to come up to me and say, what do you recommend? And people knew me there, Ian, what do you recommend? And I used to recommend, and then people would come back and say, that was a good film, Ian, do you want to recommend another? Do you know what I mean? So it was a very community driven thing when it came to cinema, or even renting films out from Blockbuster Video. And that's the time we grew up in. And it's like, I know kids don't understand that now. My nieces don't understand the joy that you had by literally holding that tape, going, we got it. Do you know what I mean? The joy that you had, that you actually got the tape that you went to wanted to see and stuff. So, but as I said, it's very different today. Sorry.
I remember a guy, a friend of mine, at school. He had a pirate copy of Jurassic Park in like '93.
I remember, and it was like, you couldn't see the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, but you were trying to get hold of it. And it was like you almost had to pay him protection money to get a copy of it.
No, well, when I used to work for post-production, my friend, he used to work for Molyneux. There's a big post-production company called Molyneux, and he said, Ian, we're taping the Batman film, and the Batman film hadn't come out yet, the Michael Keaton one. And he says, do you want a copy? And I was like, yeah, get me a copy. And I kid you not, I stood behind those back doors of Molyneux for 4 hours, and he came out with the tape and he shoved it in my hand and slammed the door back. I went home and I watched it, and I was like, this is a really good copy, because they were copying it for Warner Brothers. So yeah, so I saw the film before everybody else saw it, but then I still went to see it in the cinema as well. Yeah. So
great experience, cinema.
Those days, that's what happened in those days, that people were copying films there. I remember my friend rented Blade Runner before because if you guys in the chat are the same age as me, they used to put a little bug in the tape so you couldn't copy it. But before that, I remember my friend renting out Blade Runner, and he taped it on another tape, and he literally screwed the VHS. And he pulled it out. He pulled the original tape out, and he took his copy and he put it in, and he screwed it. And that's what he gave Blockbuster Video. And he had the original copy. A lot of people used to do that. And then they got wise to it, didn't they? And they put those tapes on it. So if it was broken, you can tell that somebody had opened the cassette and stuff. And then they put the little bug in there where you couldn't copy it. So that kind of thing. So
a similar thing with me is Doctor Who. A friend of mine lent me his he just got it. His mum had just got it for him. Genesis of the Daleks and Sontaran Experiment, Tom Baker, double VHS pack. And I was watching Genesis of the Daleks, and it chewed up the VHS.
Oh no.
My mate's VHS, and he just lent it to me. But Mum had just bought me the set to give me at Christmas a few months away. So she took the busted. She took the is Swappers going to the loo?
Toilet.
Is there a naked gun scene there? So mum put the VHS, like the broken one, she took them back with the receipt and got a full refund on it and a replacement.
That's not good. But they always have this on the tape, be kind, rewind, innit? Because they used to want you to rewind the tape after you've seen it and stuff. So as I said, those were beautiful days. You know, as I said, no matter how much problems you had in your life, and let's face it, when we were in our teens and when we were in our 20s, our problems compared to our parents' problems was nothing. No, but yet it felt like the whole world was falling apart for us. But we always had Blockbuster. We always had the cinema. You know, we always had friends that we go to the park and play and get on the bikes and climb trees and all that kind of nonsense, you know. But today, as I said, I think kids are too much into, you know, the internet and making TikTok. And I kid you not, yesterday I was walking down the road and I saw 3 people like this talking as they're walking down the road. I'm like,
I was talking to someone earlier, mate, and it was about, we were talking about, and I think we've had the similar chat before, and we were talking about the 90s and about, you know, pre-social media. And like the whole point I wanted to come up with this kind of format was because I wanted it to kind of be like how it used to be, where you would go with your mates and you'd sit in a pub all evening after a week at work, you know, and you just chat about all kinds of stuff over a pint, and it was great, you know. Those days they've changed.
Well, you know? It's as I said, there were niches. Now there isn't niches because of the internet. I used to go to loads of pubs where there used to be geeks there, where people knew what you were talking about and stuff like that. And you know, when I was at school, I had like a bunch of friends that knew who Steven Spielberg was. Everybody was talking about football and cars and fashion, but we'd have a little group that we were talking about movies. And you know, I remember when we saw Star Wars and we were reading Starlog that Empire Strikes Back was coming. None of us believed that Darth Vader, I think it was Return of the Jedi, none of us believed that Darth Vader was Luke's father. When we watched Empire Strikes Back, everybody was saying, nope, we're going to find out in the third one that he's been lying to him. You know, we know that's going to happen and stuff. And obviously that didn't happen. But that's the conversation that we used to have. Yeah.
Phenomenal. So. I mean, I always love that Simpsons sketch where Homer comes out of the cinema with Marge watching Empire, and there's the queue, and he walks along and he goes, "Wow, who would have thought that Darth Vader was Luke's father?" And they're like, "Oh, thanks, Mr. Spoil the movie." But I don't know if we'll get a time like that again, where, like you say, Empire, the surprise, the reveal of that.
No, it's do you know what? Every Star Wars film had a sequence in there that you went, how the fuck did they do that? Star Wars, right, was every special effects in that film, you were like amazed. The second one, Empire Strikes Back, was the walkers, and you were like, bloody hell, how imaginative is that? And the third one was the scene in the forest with the I can't remember those things called, where they were chasing in the forest and stuff.
AT-ATs.
Speeder bikes.
The speeder bikes.
Oh,
yeah. You know what I mean? Every film had something that you thought, wow, how the hell did they do that? You know?
I get what... Yeah. Sorry, mate. You go.
I was just saying, I remember Empire Strikes Back trailer where there was that shot where hundreds of TIE fighters coming towards the screen. I was like, how the fuck did they do that? You know, it was amazing. Sorry.
And when I look back at the Star Wars, you know, the movies, and I say the George Lucas movies, and what I like about it, one thing I like about it, he said in the original trilogy, he wanted the ships to look, the rebel ships and stuff to look dusty and broken and dirty, because they're like scraping for parts to fight the rebellion. And then when you go to the prequels, you see all the ships are shiny, clean and shiny, pristine. That's what I like about the stuff he came up with. It's just a shame that nobody said the rest of it's a bad idea. We need to get rid of that Jar Jar Binks, and we need to.
he was trying to focus it on more kids, and I think at that moment in time he was trying to do visual effects and trying to see whether the format of what he was shooting it on would work. So yeah, he kind of made a mistake with that, but he's not a very good director though, George Lucas, so that's the way it goes, I guess, with the prequels.
Yeah, he's a good ideas man. But not so much directing, because he can't really engage with the actors and the people on set. You need somebody there that is kind of has a real rapport with everyone on the floor. And Lucas is kind of a bit on the spectrum, so he's going to be very withdrawn, especially when he's dealing with people like Harrison Ford, who are kind of mavericks, So it's going to make him sort of shrink away and become very meek and not. And when you got a director, and Ian obviously knows, you got a director, you've got to direct, you've got to be very forthright, you've got to be in control. And I don't think Lucas has got that instinct in him. Unfortunately,
no,
he has when he's coming up at the concept stage. He knows exactly what he wants. And he knows how to get the best out of his artists and the people that are obviously bringing his creation to life. But as far as being one of those people himself, doesn't really work that well. But he's a great visionary, absolutely.
Yeah, you as a director though, you've got to find the 101. You got to find the balance between doing. So basically, if you're a director and first of all, you have to direct the actors. But you can't be too forceful with them, because you can't say this is the way I want it and that's that, because you know that the actor's going to bring something to it. But as far as I know, George Lucas never gave any kind of direction to Ewan McGregor, because Ewan McGregor actually says it in some of the interviews. He was just saying, you just say that line and it's like, well, how do I say it? And he says, however you want to say it. Do you know what I mean? So he didn't really know what he was doing. But that's George Lucas, isn't it? He was just concentrating on the toys and the special effects and the format. Wasn't really concentrating on what made Star Wars good, I guess.
That's why people like Kasdan and everyone else that was involved, especially the core of Empire Strikes Back in the original trilogy, were great sort of steadying hands to his vision, because he'd come up with ideas and stuff, and they'd be a good person to rebound off to tell him whether it would work or not, and he'd accept that, because he trust their creativity and trust what they've achieved previously. So it really worked as a great team effort with those films. With the prequels, he didn't have that at all. So it was all, and he focused far too much on technology, pushing effects. And what he was looking at on the screen, rather than characterization and the heart of it, which is what made the original trilogy so great. And the prequels were missing all that, and you can see it. It's evident. The actors, it's like their heart wasn't in it at all. They were kind of just very flat, bland, two-dimensional, and weren't emoting, and they weren't really getting the scenario and the gravity of the situation across to the audience at all. That's what was missing, unfortunately. The rest of it, there's some great stuff in there. But that's the crux of it. That's what makes Star Wars so great. And sadly, that was what was missing from those three movies.
That is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
I mean, it's funny when I look back now, and I always thought to myself, Ewoks, Battle for Endor, and Caravan of Courage were the worst Star Wars movies. And I thought,
if you can even include those, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, how things change, eh?
Yeah.
Force Awakens, Hold My Beer, Last Jedi.
When George Lucas, he was, according to a lot of reports, he's very shy. And even when he was directing American Graffiti, he was very shy. The actors just took over what they were doing, from Richard Dreyfuss straight through to all the actors that were in it. Richie Cunningham, I call him. But same thing with Star Wars as well. He was under a lot of pressure. He almost you know, he was under a lot of pressure. He had to sell his house, you know, to make Star Wars, you know, and he was scared because it was the stuff they were doing was new with the special effects and everything. He wasn't really sure whether it was going to come across, but I think accidentally he created something that changed the face of movies forever. You know, the difference between George Lucas and Star Wars, George Lucas and Spielberg, is Spielberg knew what he was doing direction wise and shooting wise. George Lucas had a vague idea, but he was helped by his wife when it came to editing, by the visual effects, by the DOP that helped him, and the actors who took control of what they were saying and how they were saying it. So yeah. He's a businessman.
Yeah. I was going to say as well on a separate subject, but did you see Sylvester Stallone's interview this week?
I didn't know.
He's done some video interviews, and he basically said about when he got the Oscar for Rocky, and he basically said he's never enjoyed those events, but he remembers that one, and he said to his mum, "I've got you a seat." And she said, "Well, I want so and so to come with me." And this was a hairdresser, and he goes, "No, there's no seat for a hairdresser. For your hairdresser, you haven't seen her in ages anyway. You know, this is for me and you." And she wouldn't go, and she didn't go because she wasn't because he wouldn't let the hairdresser go. And he's like, "Well, I can't get a seat for her, you know." And he said, so he was up there, and his mum didn't even bother going, and he said even after that, his parents didn't even like pat him on the back or congratulate him, you know, for what he'd achieved. So it was quite interesting. He sort of opened up, you know, talking about it in an interview this week. It's on YouTube, I think, so check it out. But he did say that he made some wrong moves in the 80s, and he said really what he wanted to do, he should have done the Tango and Cash trilogy. He should have done because he said, you know, him and Kurt Russell worked really well together, so they should have really moved on from that and done a couple more. But different time, eh?
Yeah, it is different. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but at that moment in time, fathers and families, especially families from the Caribbean, they're very strict. And I remember the first film I ever made, my dad came to see it with mum, and my dad, after the film had finished, the only thing my dad said to me was, "There's too much swearing in it." That was it. He never said, you know, he enjoyed it or thought it was good or anything. That's all he said to me. And so dads were like that in those days, you know. But the thing is, I think he was quite proud of me, but he wouldn't say it. So that was the kind of thing that we had in those days. But you know,
I think knowing your dad, I think the respect he had for you, you would pick up on it. You know, like you say, he wouldn't say it, but you could kind of
he wouldn't say it.
Potentially, you kind of pick up there was a respect and he was proud of you for doing that.
Well, I don't know. That's what I suspect anyway. So I don't know. My mum was different. My mum, when she saw Rebecca Gold, she was like, "Oh, I really like that one, Ian." She was like, "Oh, it's quite good." So, but that's what I'm saying. I think my dad would never have said anything. But then again, as I said, parents from the Caribbean and Trinidad and, you know, Venezuela and stuff like that, they were quite tough on their kids. It's because of poverty. You know, because they want to push their kids and they don't want to sugarcoat anything. They want to tell the kids, this is how it is. Find your way. And you know, so, and he came with that attitude. So thing is, though, I don't blame him if that's the way he was brought up. But you do that today, then the police arresting you for abusing if you're abusing children. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a different time in those days, you know. So,
it was a very different time, you know. You know, my dad was always like, with something like this, he would, if he was here now, I know he'd say he was proud of me for doing it, you know, because that's the relationship I had with my dad. But I'm a bit further along, you know. I'm an 80s kid, and 80s kid that was, my parents showed me all of that affection, but blimmin' hell, I copped it if I did something wrong as well. So there was that balance. You know, it was always walking down to the shops, and it was like, right, Dad's angry with me because I've done something naughty, which I did. And you know where they've got your arm, and you know the slap is about to come on the back of your legs, but you're arcing forward in the hope that you can evade it, you know.
And if you when they're whooping your ass, if you say anything, they give you more. They're like hitting you, and you say, "Dad, I wouldn't do it again." You wouldn't do it again. It's like more. Just close your. Don't say anything. Just literally, just don't say. Otherwise, you just repeat what you say. So
do you know what? There was this one time. My dad was at church, and me and my brother were home with my mum. We didn't go that Sunday for some reason, and me and my brother were fighting, and he was trying to pull me off the bed. And I grabbed hold of the radiator, and the whole radiator came off in my hands. and Mum came up, and he was so angry, she slammed the door with such force the lock broke on it. The handle. So Dad had to come back from church to force his way in. The 80s, mate. The 80s were different.
Yeah, I think I grew up in the 70s. As a kid, grew up in the 70s, so I remember chopper bikes and falling over.
Just gone bust.
Yeah, that's right. I just saw that. Yeah,
wow,
horrible.
I mean, I never wore a helmet when I was riding bikes or anything. You know,
no,
I remember we were all crazy about Evel Knievel, and we used to create these ramps on a chopper bike.
Did that.
You're just like, you know, you fall over, and you're just like, you have no arm pads or anything, knee pads. You'll just fall over and you'll get up. Do you know what I mean? It's like we were indestructible or something, you know.
Well, it's like the 80s that when they started making BMX tracks for kids to go on, and we had it in our town, you know.
Yeah.
And you'd go on there on your BMX or your mountain bike, but the height you would get going up, you were so high in the air. I'm amazed that there wasn't like just bodies piled up all over the BMX track, just corpses everywhere.
It's crazy, right? I remember falling off a tree. I remember I climbed so high on the tree, and I slipped and I fell, and I was like hitting every branch as I was going down. Hit the bottom on my back, and just like looked up, and I went, wow. And I got up. It's like went home. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like we were instructable in those days. Yeah, I seen my friend fall from a church. You know, like there used to have this old church in Battersea Park where all the kids used to go and we used to throw rocks at the bell and stuff. And I remember my friend fell off one of the steps, and he was okay as well. I was like, you know, these things never scared us at all when we were kids at all. It was just normal. You know, now it's very protective, isn't it? Yeah, very protective. Yeah. I remember my uncle used to drive me around in his sports car, no seatbelt. He'd be driving 80 miles per hour in his sports car. I'll be sitting there going, "This is great." No seatbelt, nothing. You know, that's what it was.
Well, it's like Julie Coonan says here, guys. You know, she talks about the play parks we had, you know, and the roundabouts and stuff that were lethal. But it's also, you know, I've seen many posts, and it's like, you know, the big slides that, you know, you wore shorts, and it was metal. So on a hot day, you went down and it just burnt your legs off as you went down in shorts. But there was no safety railing on either side either. So if you just fell either side, you're dead.
Today they've got the sponge floor. We used to have concrete. You know, if we fell, it was concrete.
It's done.
You know what I mean?
It was concrete with like grit on it. So if you if you did, you didn't just get road rash. You've got loads of grit in your wound at the same time. You didn't have to pick out all the bits. Yeah.
And do you remember when you used to go on the the roundabout, and you always get some idiot that grabs it and spins it really hard. It's like your legs are hanging off like that as you're spinning. Always some idiot.
I know. But you also, you should say about the whole mobile phone things have taken away so much. I have to agree, and I just have to shake my head. I do think of myself as like one of those old people that just tutted at everything back in, you know, when I was a kid. But I've kind of turned into that because when I'm out walking, I've been loving it throughout the summer. It's amazing. The weather we've just been having this year is just off the charts, brilliant. And I'm just doing a big long 6 mile walk or whatever I'm doing, and I walk through the park and there'll be just kids sat there on benches just staring at phones, and I just think, oh, I mean they're outside, right? But then you might as well be inside. You're not appreciating anything out here. You're not running around, you're not riding bikes, you're not chasing each other around, you're not jumping over things, you're not climbing trees, you're just sitting there staring at a screen. Even when you're walking along, you're doing it. And I'm just, oh my God, kids this is going to be, this whole generation, probably 2 generations are just going to be a lost bunch of kids that are just dependent on devices and screens and don't get to experience the world like we did.
But the worst thing, guys, the worst thing is when you're on a bus and you have the mother and the kid that's in the the stroller, and the kid starts crying, and then she pulls out her phone, puts something and gives it to him. I mean, this kid must be not even 1 year old, and the little kid's watching it, and he's like doing that, and he's swiping, and it's like crazy. Like in my day, if you were crying, my dad would just go and you'd stop crying. But
I mean, the kids these days are probably crying because they've either had a device taken away or they're expecting to be given a device. It's like it's been half an hour since they last had the device, therefore they start crying again because they know what to give. They know what to do to be given back the technology. Whereas when we were little kids, we didn't even have it in the first place, so we didn't cry unless there was something genuinely worth crying about.
Exactly. I think. So, you go, mate. It's all right. Yeah, it's fine.
No, I was just saying that I remember we were on a train, me, my dad and my sister. My sister was I think she must have been 2 or something. You know how kids are, they sing and they bob their head up and down. They don't care how many people is around. And there was this one guy that just kept staring at my sister because he was annoyed that she was making loads of noise. And he was like the typical English guy with the suit, and the little moustache and stuff and the umbrella and stuff. I think this was during the 70s. And my dad looked at him and he said, "What, have you never been a kid before?" And the guy just looked at him and he just slowly moved this way so he couldn't see my dad, because my dad was like, you wanna fuck with me? Come on then. Do you know what I mean? My dad was quite tough. He was quite tough. Yeah, it was quite tough, my dad, in those days.
I think the trouble now as well is, when I grew up with, like, when I got the Walkman, when the Walkman came about, you go on a train or you go on a bus and you'd have your headset in and you'd be listening to it. Now, there's a lot of adults now, not just kids, who they think it's their own carriage where they will just play on full speaker a show or a film, or they'll talk to someone on full volume as if we all want to be involved in the conversation. We don't. Flipping put your earbuds in. That's it. That's my Victor Meldrew moment. It's like, it's not difficult.
I guess there was an equivalent in the 80s, wasn't there, when you walk around with ghetto blasters, blasting your music out through the town centre when town centres used to be crowded with people on a Saturday. But you used to get those kinds of people.
They ate Duracells quickly, though. That was the silver lining for those.
But do you remember when I don't know when this happened, but everybody had stereos in their cars, and they would boast about it. The amount of bass they could pull out of their car, and used to have something in the boots, didn't they? And then it got so, because people used to steal them, didn't they? So they created those ones where you just take the surface off, don't you? The front off, and then
Sony,
but my brother had one of them, and every time he used to stop at a traffic light, he used to make his car dance to the music. You know what I mean? Rolled his window down and just kind of, I think that was during the 80s. I'm not sure though, but that was funny.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Was he driving an XR3i by any chance?
Probably. I can't remember the car, but he seriously, it was that moment in time, wasn't it, where everyone had a stereo in their car. It was a unique thing in those days, wasn't it?
Did he have fluorescent lighting underneath his car as well? And he used to.
He did.
Too early for that.
He did.
No way.
Oh,
no way.
He did. I think he did. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's interesting, as I said, right? When you look at the different eras and stuff. I remember having my first Walkman. It wasn't mine actually. It was my brother's. Borrowing my brother's Walkman and stuff with the orange sponge on the ears and stuff. And
I remember mine. Yeah.
It's it's crazy, right? When you think about it. But then again, right, who's to say our era is better than the era that the kids have got now? You know,
it's just
they
different,
don't know
I guess.
better. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. So
I think,
having said Walkman with orange foam earpieces, I just want to mention this because you both, I mean, Ian's probably a little bit too advanced for it at the time, but John definitely was Transformers, right? John's got a nod. Ian was probably too old for him, but one of the original releases was Decepticon Soundwave, which John will probably know.
So
an amazing bit of kit, you know, transformed into a Walkman, didn't play any music, but had its own little tapes that then transformed, etc. Amazing toy, absolutely incredible toy. Looked beautiful at the time, really well made, great quality plastic and everything. In Japan, it came with the headphones, right? So you plugged it in and you sort of wore them as if you were listening to music, but you couldn't actually listen to any music. They've just announced last week, now it's releasing in February. They've just announced a new version of that same exact original toy, right? But now
that's cool.
With all fully modern articulation and engineering. So it looks exactly the same, but you can pose it in, you know, in all the ways that we wished we could have posed them back in the 1980s, but we couldn't. All new articulation, the joints all work properly, comes with all new accessories. And this is something that only came with in Japan and not in the US, was a pair of proper Walkman style headphones with the orange earpieces, right? That Ian just mentioned. So you can actually plug them into it as well and make it look like you're actually listening to music, but you're not, you know. But what a great accessory. And I thought, I can't afford this. I can't afford 165 quid for this, right?
Wow.
Which is what it costs now. It's crazy money. But I managed to find it for just over 100 on some website or other. So I put in like a pre-order, and the money doesn't get taken till February. So I thought, oh, go on then, right? So I just put it in. So whatever pennies that I get as presents for Christmas, I'll put that towards it. But I couldn't resist. I just couldn't resist it.
Well, interesting you brought up Transformers, because from my local comic book store, mate, I've just picked up this.
Look at that.
So it's the full UK compendium, volume 1.
Amazing.
It's got everything in there, and
amazing.
I'm going to really enjoy going through that. Again, Paradox Comics, everybody, based in Poole in Dorset. If you want to check out their online site, they're great.
Nice.
But they get me what I need all the time. Transformers was great again. But then before we wrap up, I think we were at a time when there were creations, there were such good shows being made, kids shows, you know. When you talk about Transformers, we talked about Ulysses 31 last week, you know, we talked about Mysterious Cities of Gold, we talk about the real Ghostbusters, you know, to name but a few, Star Wars droids, Thundercats, you know, there was so much stuff to enjoy. Mask, you know, it was really great. I mean, I was just lucky growing up in that period. I really was. It was a great time. Yeah. But it's Farsight saying you can Lego set a Soundwave to build that. Oh, cool. That's quality.
There is a Lego one, as well.
Yeah. And Thundercats. Oh. And I was going to say, we're going to wrap up now. We are going to continue doing the pub chat live shows. I want to say, obviously, thank you to Swappers and Ian, because you know these guys are great fun to hang out with. It's great doing it every Friday night with them. I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat tonight, because we had 40 people watching us live. So this show is very quickly becoming a very popular show for the channel, and it's building. So thank you for sticking with us. Clearly you're enjoying it. And I would also say to you as well, you know, hit the like and subscribe button and share it if you can, because we're trying to grow the channel, we're trying to grow the show and get it to as many people as possible. But also, you know, write in, you know, put in the comments stuff you'd like us to discuss on the show as well. You know, the whole point of the pub chat show is we'll talk about anything, and we love nostalgia, you know, the three of us as well. So, you know, just do that. It'd be great. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week, but I would also say to you now, we're going over to Mr. Brown Alliance on YouTube. He's got a show at 10:15. So if you want more of us we're on Mr. Brown Alliance, and it's nodding his head.
Why would you want more of us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, small doses. That's what you want. That's what you want.
Exactly.
But other than that, and Farsight says Zoids. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I won a competition where I won loads of Zoids in the 80s. W.H. Smith draw the last panel of this comic competition, and I won the entire range of Zoids.
Oh yeah, you said that. There was a picture as well, wasn't there, that you had?
I'll have to get it. I'll have to show John. Yeah.
Do it. But no, thanks everybody. Stay safe. Come and join us on Mr. Brown Alliance now. But if not, we'll see you back here next week for more chat and good stuff. Take care, all.
Ta-da.
Thanks, everybody.